Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm so excited to be here, back to our webinars. It's a new year, so here we go, full swinging. Awesome. I'm really excited for you guys to be here today. I'm really excited to get to share someone that I find all kinds of inspiration from. It's my better half in lots of ways when it comes to curriculum writing and creating. So I'm really excited to share this information with you and let her tell you some stuff about herself. We've done so much things together. So we have done, presentations, curriculum writing. We've gone to all kinds of events together and presented. We're both huge space NASA nerds. So I'm really excited to bring her on and let her talk a little bit about herself. So without further ado, I would like to bring my friend, Lauren Kelly, on. Welcome, Lauren.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I feel privileged to be in your presence.
Likewise.
Awesome.
Yeah, we've known each other for what, like 5 years now, I think?
Probably. I think, yeah, because it was 2020.
Yeah.
Actually, not quite. So almost.
Almost.
On the way there.
Yes.
Yeah. So Lauren, tell us a little bit about you and what you do and what, just some, fun facts.
So I've been teaching STEM since 2013. This is actually my 5th year as a STEM GT specialist. We started the STEM program in my district. So we started out doing specials. So I've taught everywhere from pre-K to 5th grade. And then about the first or second year into it, they decided, hey, you're not going to be specials, you're going to be a coach. So I started learning all that. And I started writing the STEM curriculum for not only my campus, but the entire district. So, no pressure there. So I had to learn how to do STEM really quick and learn how to apply STEM lessons to pre-K through 5th grade and then write lessons for over 15 elementary campuses. So I've been diving deep into that. And then I kind of started getting into the middle school realm and doing different learnings with that. And I've written for different curriculum companies, such as Vivify STEM and Harvard Lab Exchange, all the way up to high school. And then when I'm not doing that, I also like to visit conferences and do presentations. And all that
because that's not enough. You had to do more.
You got to do more. Not busy enough.
A little bit is not enough. More is better. Yeah, Lauren has been very inspiring for me and made me even more of a STEM nerd than I thought I was. Just collaborating together, we've done a lot of work together. So you'll see some of that in today's presentation. But I'm very excited to let her run this mostly today, and I just cheer for her and support. But she's got lots of amazing things to share with you guys, some inspiration and some easy wins for you to take to the school year. Also, welcome to the new school year. I didn't say that yet, but I'm sure it's been off to a crazy start. So
it has been. We've been back for almost 2 months. We had a big district-wide STEM event. So we're going deep, hard. We're good. It's crazy. We're starting to finally get into that, okay, now we got this. We're getting into our groove type of thing, but it's been exciting. It's been fun. And we got new standards this year in science. So it's been fun having to figure all that out.
Rearrange. It's always happening.
Oh, yeah.
Rearrange.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we're going to let Lauren present her slides to us today. Thank you to those of y'all who are here right now. Arnell is always watching from the future. So if you look at the comments, he's always telling us what time it is there. And it's so fun to see that. So yeah.
Oh, cool.
6 a.m. there right now.
Well, thank you for getting up early.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us from the future. That's always fun to have. So without further ado, let's roll.
Sure thing.
Awesome.
All right. So I'm going to give you some easy tips and tricks to help you get started in your STEM program. Some of these ideas are if you're already a STEM educator or if you're thinking about adding some STEM into your classroom. They're all easy things that you can add right away. You don't have to do a lot of pre-planning for all of these.
I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. So some quick wins. We're going to talk about some different categories to give you some examples, and then we'll do a fun interactive activity at the end here.
Hello from Arkansas. Welcome.
Oh, cool. All right. So some quick wins. I want to start out with technology, the T in STEM. So with technology, you have educational apps or online tools that your students use. Free websites like code.org are always good for that Code in December week. So trying to incorporate technology when you can to your already busy curriculum is key and make it as easy as possible. A lot of us are using Google Classroom, but there's a lot of online platforms that are really like capable to work with that. So you can find online programs like code.org and then assign it through your Google Classroom to get those students ready for technology. Another big one is your classroom design. This is making sure that your classroom is set up and ready for makerspace, STEM materials. We'll show you some pictures here in a minute. So it's going to be really key to organize your materials. Make sure everything is easy to find, easy to put up, and accessible so that your students can do the best they can in their STEM challenges. One key thing that I think that we should include more is daily problem solving. This could be like a bell ringer. Whenever they're coming in the mornings, have this on. It could be a question of the day. Websites like Wonderopolis are really good. So it's like a nice open-ended, quizzitive type question just to get their brains awake and ready to go. But if we don't work on those problem-solving skills with our students, they're not going to figure that out on their own. We got to give them practice. Plus, you're curious about the world, so why not like really dive deep into that, right? And another big one, hopefully some of us have heard of PBL. If not, let me tell you. These are your extended, long problem-solving projects. These are not usually things that you do in like one class period. You might give your students a topic or an idea, and they work in their groups to extend this into sometimes a couple months projects, but they're really diving deep and they're doing research. They're learning and they're trying out new things. This involves design, but not just like, oh, I tried it one time and I'm done. Like, no, you try something, you're going to do it over and over and over again until you can make it as best you can. One key thing with the project-based learning is don't keep it in the classroom. Share it. Put it on social media, get community people involved, get people to come talk to your kids, share it at maybe the high school or a library, somewhere so that the students have more buy-in, but also like the community wants to know what you're doing in your classroom. And if they know what you're doing in your classroom, they might help you with funding.
Exactly. I knew you were
And
headed
we
there.
need that money, yeah.
That's
But
right.
nobody knows what we're doing if we don't share.
Right.
So your local businesses, library, any of those services, get them involved. They want to be there. They want to help our students, but they don't know what we're doing if we don't share. So make sure that you're sharing all of those fun projects in whatever way works best for you. Another key thing for STEM is real world connections. These students understand that there's problems going on in the world, but unless we give them chances to solve those problems, it kind of just goes to the wayside. And also, when you're thinking of STEM challenges, make it relatable to them. Give them a reason why to do the challenge. Build some empathy. And the closer you can get these real world challenges to as close to them as possible, the more buy-in you're going to get. So for example, anytime I do anything with water, I'm going to talk about the Trinity River. That's right down the road for my kids. That's going to make more sense to them than me talking about like the Atlantic Ocean. That's states away. They're like, I don't care about that. That's way over there. So if you see other STEM scenarios, like just adjust it a little bit. Make it for something happening down the road, down the street. Add the real name of a building down in downtown. That way they understand that like, hey, these problems happen here and I can solve them. So make sure that you're making it as close to them as possible and make it kid friendly. All right, we're going to show you some pictures here in a second.
Yes, I'm super excited about that.
I'll let you take this one because it's your stuff.
Sure. When it comes to technology integration, obviously I'm going to start with this thing that I'm very passionate about, making sure that we acknowledge, and that is technology is anything that is about advancement. So I know everyone immediately wants to do like, oh, we're not using a robot, so we must not be doing technology. It's okay to say we're using technology because we're using this. Like my kids were using hot glue guns and things like that. That's technology. That's advancement. But it's also important to incorporate things that do require them to code, things that do require them to actually be using technology also, because that's the world we live in right now. And this is something that I just recently released that I created, and I'm super proud of it. So I obviously am going to talk about it because, you know, I made it. But we have these STEM quest cards that are quick hit activities. It's ranged for all grades. I made sure that it wasn't anything that wouldn't be able to be used in the upper grades. But it's quick hit activities that on the front of it gives the kids a real life scenario. And then they take that scenario and they solve it with using different types of technology. So I have it for 3D printing, and it doesn't matter what type of 3D printer you use. I have it for microbits, which you can also use Raspberry Pi and things like that to solve with, or Arduino if you use those. I have it for the Jubot, which is a robotic arm, which you can use for any robotic arm. And then for Sphero Bolt, and then also for the little bits, which are snap circuit type stuff. But it comes with a teacher guide with like guiding questions to make it a full lesson if you want to as a teacher, and also an answer key for you. Because if you're not super confident in coding, I try to make it a little bit more accessible for anyone. But yeah, using that type of stuff to integrate technology, that's part of the solution, but not the whole solution, which I think is important, because that's using coding and technology is part of STEM, but it is not STEM by itself. So how do we incorporate other things into that, which Lauren and I are very passionate about.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to some of that stuff. So
another key thing when it comes to technology, and I forgot where I heard this from, but anything that's human made or man made is technically technology, because we have to create it. So something as simple as a pencil is technology.
It's technology.
It doesn't always have to have the lights and the clicks and all that fun stuff. So if you don't have access to that, don't let that deter you, and please get your students involved in STEM. Again, that goes back to making those partnerships. A lot of local libraries do have maker kits and sets, so you might be able to borrow some of those. Just reach out to your local community, and there may be some stuff out there you can borrow for free. So you can try out some of these task cards with some of their technologies for free.
Also, yeah, Eli, who's on right now, which he just put something on there, and I'm curious if it has to do with that. Eli works at a library, and he has all the technology of a studio that we made, or that we produced, and he has all of that there at the library, and they allow for kids to come and do stuff at the library too. So don't sleep on the libraries, you guys, because they're actually doing a lot of the work right now in bringing things to life for the kids. If you can't have it at your school, at least that. I love it. It's a video about Bic pins, but I will say I'm excited because I was like, oh my gosh, is Eli about to bring in library stuff for us? Because he knows. Anyways, use those.
Also, if you're looking for problems to solve, there's tons of STEM picture books out there. So you could always borrow a STEM picture book, and then that can turn into a STEM challenge in your classroom.
Love it, which is what Lauren and I did all the time in our
classroom. Oh yeah. So we have some pictures, examples of maker spaces. So if you're starting out in a classroom, and yours may not look like this, and that's okay. Don't worry about that.
Yes.
I've been building it for 10 years, still not done. But just get what you can get. The best thing is to organize it though. So figure out a system that works for you. What worked best for me is having pictures, because I have pre-K through 5th, and I also have a lot of ESL students. So just having a random word there is going to be nothing to them. So I'd like to have the words with labels, but also a picture of the item, so that they could help put the things away. Because if you have a big old mess, you don't want to stay afterwards trying to clean all that up. The kids need to be a part of the cleanup process. But if they don't know where things go, then that just makes it chaotic and confusing for everybody. So making sure everything has a place so that students understand where things go when we're done with something. And just nice and neat, organized, make sure you have all the outlets that you can get as possible. Get some power strips for all your tech so you can charge everything at once, but slowly build it. Don't feel like you have to do this overnight. That's going to be too stressful for you. Just build a little bit each time that you can.
And that whole color thing on the wall, you know how I was about that in my classroom, but I did have tables that were, everything was that color that was on that table. All the scissors were that color. I made sure all of the marker lids had a red dot on them, or orange dot or whatever. And it really did help me, because I held them accountable, and I didn't have to be held accountable for all of that stuff, because I can barely actually find the resources that I had worked hard to put together. I was like, where did I put that? Where did I put that? So having them responsible for it helped a lot, where it's like, hey, looks like a lid was left over here, and that should have been at table red. Why are we not putting stuff back away? So you can hold them accountable.
So you also have the picture example of what it should look like when it's put away for those visual.
There it is.
Yep.
Yes. Covering all your bases.
Oh yeah. All right. A couple more quick ideas. Inquiry-based design. This is asking students some simple questions, really going back to that creativity piece, getting them to brainstorm and think. We've got to really work on our students being able to think creatively. We're going to do an interactive activity here in a minute to kind of show that a little bit. As much as you can do this daily, again, going back to the question of the day, Wonderopolis, just something to get them wondering, because they have so many questions. And, there's been research where pre-K kids have 200 questions a day or something. But by the time they get to 5th grade, it's they don't ask questions anymore, because they're constantly told to just, we got to do this, we got to do that. So they stop wondering and questioning things. And we need to make sure that we're fostering that, because that's where you get your innovators from. So we don't need to be suppressing those things. All right, another thing I'm going to show you here in a little bit some STEM vocabulary examples, having word walls, posters, just images, science words, STEM words all over the place to really build that vocabulary. And that really goes back to helping your ESL students, your low readers, your young babies, just anybody, making sure they see the words as much as possible so that they can understand like what we're doing. And if you can add a picture to it, that helps too. Because a lot of students are visual. I also have a lot of experience with students with dyslexia. And having like a picture associated with something really helps them understand a concept, even though they know it, but maybe they can't read it or something. So making sure you have those visuals up for them. And STEM is a huge cross-curricular discipline. It should be done across all subjects. It shouldn't be done in a silo. And I think that's unfortunately where a lot of schools and districts are, is we do it in isolation. Well, STEM carries science, technology, engineering, and math. You could also have reading including that. And ideally, if you're doing adequate STEM and engineering challenges, you're doing all of your subjects at once. So you're ideally saving yourself time. So you could have a reading lesson with a storybook that turns into a STEM challenge. Well, you're using technology throughout that. Well, your book could also have science concepts, but then your testing has math with it because you're doing data collection, measurement, all of that stuff. So you can cover all of the subjects that you need, if planned out well, in one lesson and dive really deep into it to make sure they understand instead of just rushing in and having it all separate. Because in the real world, engineers are not isolated. They could be, but most of the time they have to go work with the mathematician down the street or whatever to make sure that their engineering is correct. And then you have to be able to communicate. So you got to get on a computer and send an email. Well, you might have to read some diagrams. So in the real world, that all these subjects kind of intertwine with each other. So you need to make sure that they're able to understand the connections with that. And then going back to the math part, data analysis. Whew, that's tough.
It's a big one.
Yeah. I will say I'm not like the biggest math expert, but I totally understand the importance of it. Any quality engineer needs to understand math. You need to be able to collect data, measure it, analyze it, understand what it's saying, and not just, oh, look, numbers, cool. Yeah. Like that. What is that? Yeah. So you need to make charts, represent, like, what does it mean when this happens? What if the graph says this? What does that mean? And they need practice interpreting it, not only their own data, but looking at the data of something else and looking comparing at that data, and understanding what that means. Because it's one thing when you put it there because you know what it meant because you wrote it.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. But if you look at somebody else's, you're like, what does that mean? Making sure they understand.
Honestly, and obviously, like, that's something that they should be doing. We should all be doing all the time. So it's really, because we grab information and we run with it sometimes without having a lot of data. Facebook is not actually where you should be getting your information.
Yeah, no, probably not.
Speaking to you, Grandma. No, just kidding. But basically, that's one of the things I talk about when I was teaching is like, hey guys, it's really important to be able to take data and be able to prove why this is true or not true. And I know we all understand that, but I think it's something.
Well, with your science folks, we have to do our claim evidence reasoning. Well,
that's right.
You need your data there to support that. And your math teachers will thank you because math is a struggle. We're not doing so great in some of our, state assessments here. So if you can help your math teacher out,
and you're bringing things to life in a different approach that might actually resonate more with the students than like the math teacher just teaching the math concept, taking it into, and I was a math teacher, so I'm not saying it just in that way because I was a math teacher. I'm a big math nerd. So I'm saying it as someone who loves math, but just like that concept of making it come to life in a different approach that kids are like, oh, that clicked for me. And you just
giving them a reason, a scenario, like why do this math? Oh yeah, there's a reason why. This is why I need to know this concept. Yeah,
exactly. I'm going to really quickly. I was going to say the engaging scenarios thing. I was getting ready to say, we just the past month and a half or so, we just released a 5 to 7 minute podcast. Our company did, me and my coworker Jake. But I was going to put that on there to say you should definitely check it out as a way to kind of bring to life some engaging scenarios, and it brings some debates to life for the kids that they can talk about. So I'm going to put it in the chat. But I was just going to throw that out there, shamelessly saying.
And you're the master at coming up with these wild, crazy scenarios.
True.
And then I'm like, okay, but how are we going to actually do that?
Yeah, exactly.
I have some of your examples on the next one. And then, I had to so I had to change it.
Narrow it down.
The scenarios are the engaging piece, the fun, the narrative, the buy-in, the why are we doing this again? The excitement. And if we can get that buy-in, then they're gold. Good scenario carries it. That's it.
It really does. It changes the game.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
Here, let's go to the next one. We'll talk about some vocab and then we'll talk about some scenarios. So I just put some pictures of some different things in my classroom. I have my EDP poster. This is just the one that my district came up with. But make sure if you're doing engineering challenges, you have some type of model up there. So choose the one that works best for you. There's tons of them out there. There's no right one. They're all different. Choose the one that just works best for you. But it's important for students to see this so they understand where we are in the process and what's happening.
Yep.
So the one on the left is the one my district came up with. The one on the right is another one that I have. There's a teachers pay teachers one. Both are great. Both are fine. There's not a better one, but it's important to have these posted. And here, this is going back to the labels and materials organization. So you see I have pictures along with my labels. So my cabinets, I store all the extra stuff. So if a student's looking for something that's not out, it's probably in that cabinet. So instead of them digging around in all my cabinets, opening everything, they can look, oh, it's in here. And then, and I'm no, don't do that. And then the little plastic bins make it easy. So I usually, in my maker space, I have 2 long tables, and that's my materials table. So depending on what we're doing, I'll take out the plastic tubs and materials we're using and set it out. And that means that's all that we get to use for this particular challenge. If there's anything else, you're going to have to do what I call convincing me. And you have to really tell me why you think you need something else, because technically that's not on your list. But sometimes they can talk me into it. Depends on the day.
She's tough to talk into things. I was a lot easier to talk into things. She's no, that they don't need it.
No, we have criteria and constraints for a reason. Right. So, and then outside in the hallway, I have different career posters. So we're really, we have a huge career and technology high school where we have lots of different pathways, and we have a poster for each pathway. So I like to have it on a display, even though it's elementary, these kids are still looking at it, and you can see the kind of things that you need to be an expert in depending on the different pathway that you choose and the different topics that you might want to consider when you get to middle school and high school. So I'm already showing them this, and they can see the pictures, and they can look and see, oh, I like that. And then it tells you everything you need to be strong in for those careers. Now have it low. So even the low kids, when they're walking by, can see it. Because if you just throw it up really high on the wall next to the ceiling, in the top, they're not going to look at that or notice it.
See it.
Yeah. And then I have a STEM career wall. So I have as many careers as I can possibly get in. I try to put as many unusual ones as possible, besides the scientist and engineer. That's too broad.
Right.
I want as many unusual ones as possible. And we line up right in front of the store. And anytime we line up, the kids are always looking, well, oh, I like this. Oh, I like this. And it tells you what they study. And it's just a brief 1-sentence summary. The kids look at it all the time, and I literally hear them saying, hey, I want to do this. Oh, I like this and all this other stuff. So because they're seeing it, they're more apt to know about it when they make choices in the future. So that's huge. And I have to leave that one up. I want to add more to it, but it's getting a little busy, so I'm trying not to go overboard on that.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Now we got scenarios.
Oh yeah, we're going to the next
Scenarios are fun. These are just a few. I didn't put all of them. I put one of your favorites, which is the zombie flashlight.
You know how much I love that one. Real quick, Lauren, before we go, before you go too far, I'm going to show this on the screen for a second. Eli was talking about how the director's hesitant about putting stuff on the wall, so I wasn't sure.
I got that fire marshal stuff.
Yeah. If
you're not able to put anything on the walls at all, I've been in that situation before, when I taught 2nd grade, I made personal word walls. So I had a folder, each kid had a folder, and then they have, your plastic sheets. So then you could put a mini version, and instead of posting it on the wall, they could have it in a little folder, and then they could open it up and have their STEM careers, or you can put stuff on book rings. And then you could have the book rings maybe hooked up to the side of the desk or different spots of the room, possibly.
That's smart.
Perfectly. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. But do what you can do to expose the students to the words, the images, as much as you can. So book rings, folders with plastic sheets. Even if you have a slideshow, throw in the words during your slideshows as much as possible.
Love it. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, no problem.
Maybe you'd have some fix.
Do what you can do. We've definitely had some times where the fire marshal is a little more strong than others years. It just kind of depends on the year. So we like all the fun decorations and have all this stuff, but I totally get if you're not allowed to do that.
So. Yeah, I've run into that.
Oh yeah, definitely. So here's a couple of different scenarios. So these we usually do, 2 or 3 slides in just to give the students a reason or why for what we're doing. So like the top one there is back when we did something called Kids City, and the students were to build a bridge. But we don't want to be like, okay, go build a bridge. Make sure it's like this. Make sure it's like, they're like, why? What's the point? We gave them an entire scenario, reason for building the bridge, because we had a idea that we wanted them to protect the coral reef that was between the mainland and the island. Well, to be able to protect the coral reef, you want to build a bridge that has the least amount of pillars going into the water, because every time you drill into the water, you're destroying the coral reef. So we gave them a reason why they should do this is to protect the coral reef. And a lot of kids want to protect the environment. So we showed them videos. We showed them a 360 of a dying coral reef versus one that was more thriving to help them understand why it's important. Maybe we shouldn't have a pillar every, 2 feet or whatever, because now you're just destroying an entire ecosystem. Really, the point was we were trying to get them to make as wide of a span of a bridge as possible, because we just line all the cups up and put index cards across the top. I'm like, well, that wasn't really much of a challenge, was it?
Right.
So we're trying to make it a little more challenging by giving them a scenario to justify our criteria and constraints. You want to talk about the zombie one? That's one of your favorites.
Yeah, no, the bridge one was really interesting too, because the kids had debated a lot too, like, oh, why can't we use boats? And then that took them into understanding how like boats actually are helping to kill the coral reefs by like the motor oil and all of that. So that was a really interesting approach. With the zombie one, I was like, how can we do something that's like real world but not real world? And so I said, oh, well, like real world is needing flashlights, like needing to understand how lights work. And that was a big debate too, which Lauren and I have talked about previously. Just like saying the word flashlight though did put a picture in their head, and they all built the same type of concept. But I did change that to now say light instead of flashlight. But that whole zombie apocalypse, some of my teachers that I was working with went all out and had like a black light in the room and like had it dark in there, and the kids were like solving the issue at the table. But it like gave them a reason for why to do circuits and why they needed a light without it just being like, we're going to build circuits today. And I just threw stuff on the table. I was like, you have to use what I
go for it.
And that's that. And it was fun. It was very fun.
So we did it the first year we did flashlights, but then we took the word away, flashlights. So then after that, I was getting wearable devices. Like I didn't say this, like they were making headlamps, wrist, like bracelets, like wearable stuff. And I'm like, hey, yeah, that works. So you have a lot more creativity, the more open you can make it.
Yes.
So I'm like that. Otherwise, they're all looking the same. You're like, that's not quite
not fun. Yeah.
No, I'm like, that's not cool. No. And then lastly, of course, you got to throw in a space one. So we had a big unit of our students trying to get to Mars. So this was over the course of like 10 different lessons, and they had different scenarios. But we were talking about at the time, this was right when Mars was the rover was landing on Mars. And we were talking about parachutes and having to, land, softly. And then what would we do while we're there? So we had to make rovers and all kinds of fun stuff. So I don't know about you, but like all of my students love space. Like they can't get enough.
It's so fun.
And it might be a little bit of my fault because like my room's the space room with all the stuff. So it's all good. But they're fascinated by it. And like when you tell them how long it takes to get there and all the things that you need to survive and then all this stuff. And then they're like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. You tell me why. Why do we care about going there? And they can give you all kinds of reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, well, because it's cool or because we want to or whatever, like, and then they ask all these questions and you're diving deep into all kinds of topics you would have never brought up on just a regular scenario of like, here, go make a little rubber band car and be done with it. And you're like, that's not exciting.
The thing is too about these like scenarios and things, and this is something that I know you'll agree with me on, and it's like when you pick things that are like thematic and you kind of run all of your lessons through the thematic thing, you can set up a fun classroom for that environment, and it makes it a lot more engaging and different for the kids. And then like take it down, it stays up for the whole time.
Yep.
And then take it down.
Set up once and you're good for a while.
Yeah. And it really does make the environment more set for the experience too. Like I had a pop-up tent. Remember,
Oh,
I had
yeah.
a pop-up tent of a rocket, and they
Mhm.
had to climb through that to get to my classroom. I cut the other side
Mhm.
open, so they were coming into the rocket to get onto the rocket when it was time to like actually do our takeoff. And
If
it
you're
really
doing a
did make it
thematic
more
unit,
fun.
that gives you more opportunity for field trips and guest speakers. Because if you're doing something in one day, you don't have time for all that. But if I know for a
Right.
month that I'm doing space stuff, then I can look for like Zooms where I talk to somebody, a field trip or whatever, and just really make this a like all-in scenario
It's
for
so
like
fun.
a long time. Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot more engaging for the kids.
Oh, yeah.
I
And me.
agree with you. Yeah. And
Yeah.
more fun for us.
Yeah, that
which
too.
matters.
Yeah, it makes it more fun when like your classroom's fun, and the kids are excited
Right.
to come in every day to see what's going on.
They never know what to expect.
Right. All right. A couple more. Reflect and discuss. Don't do a STEM challenge and then just leave it. Like, make sure the kids are talking about what happened, what worked, what didn't work, what can we do better. If I were to do this again, what would I do differently? What materials do I wish I had that I didn't? 2 questions I always like to ask is, what is one struggle you had? And what is one success you had? And I ask that after every STEM challenge. I also like to ask, like, what materials would you like to have in the future, or what would you like to do if you were to do this entire thing over again? That type of stuff. And they need to discuss, and they need to see what the other groups did, because they can learn from each other more than just you. So if they see, because they're so busy in their group, they're not really paying attention to what other people are doing and all the brilliantness that's happening across the room if you don't give an opportunity to share. So they need to see the thinking that's happening in everybody in their classroom, because it's beneficial for everybody to see unique ideas that I would have never even thought of. So if I were to do this again, I might want to try somebody else's idea for myself to see if I like that or not. So making sure we're incorporating that. Oh, yeah. And this really goes back into promoting collaboration. STEM is best when it's done with others. Our students struggle, especially in a technology world where they have screens and tablets in their face 24/7 on how to interact with each other. During my PD visits that I've been to different companies and industries, one issue they are seeing when they get college-age students coming into the workforce is they're not able or willing to communicate with each other. So a lot of potential is lost because these people are losing jobs within a few months because they're not willing to listen, compromise, or even take on new tasks or ideas because they don't want to collaborate. So we're losing all of these brilliant minds because they're not wanting to communicate or they don't know how. So we need to make sure we're starting them young, learning to work with each other, not just their friends, with anybody. Because I always tell my students, like, I don't get to choose all of my coworkers, but I need to work with them. I need to be collaborative and friendly. I can't choose everyone that's around me, but that doesn't mean I can't work with everybody. And that's going to be the same for you. When you get to your workforce, you don't get to choose everybody that's with you, but you need to work with everyone that's with you. So making sure that we get them young on that. That goes back into writing sentences, digitally writing in full sentences, capital letters and periods, all that funness, and making sure they can talk respectfully to each other, even when they disagree. That's a tough one. So making sure they do that.
That one's hard. Yeah. That one's hard. It is hard for us as adults. So with kids, it's even harder.
And it's okay to disagree. You don't have to agree with everything a neighbor says just because they said it. You know, like, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah,
I
acknowledge it.
But I'm going to go over here and do this, and that's fine. You do you, and I do me.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons behind the podcast that I put together was for prompting debates in the classroom, because I feel like that issue. And I was like, wait, we can show them even on fun subjects, like whether or not you could actually be a real life Spider-Man. Like those are the type of questions that we're talking about, and we're talking about the science behind it. But Jake and I in there are not always agreeing, and it's fun to like show a debate and show what that can look like, just to open that door of being willing to debate, which is hard for a lot of us to do.
And that goes into setting up a safe environment for that to happen. So making sure that you have that communication with your kids, that it's okay to disagree.
Agreed.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next is embedding engineering challenges. Whenever you can, try to get a quick STEM challenge in. Don't like make it where we do this once a semester type of thing, because you're not really going to build in those skills. Now, I understand everyone has restricted times. Everyone's under different time frames. Do it when you can. I find it best with science, especially like the end of a unit, almost like the spiral review. So say I just finished physical properties. let's do a STEM challenge about physical properties to see how much that you know or don't know, and if I need a spiral like review or reteach anything. Because you're applying your science skills into the STEM challenge, so why not do that? And then they have something to look forward to. At the end of each science unit, I know that I'm doing this engineering challenge to kind of show what I know about what I just learned. Another thing, this kind of goes back to some other stuff, the STEM question starters. Okay, get them creatively thinking, innovative ideas. And this is going to go into a interactive activity we're doing here in a minute called Scamper. But there's lots of different other ways to do this. It's just getting them being inquisitive, thinking creativity, just thinking about the world around them. Give them a problem, but maybe we're not doing a STEM challenge. Just how would you solve this problem? Draw a picture, write about it, talk to a neighbor. We have this problem. What would you do? And then maybe every now and then you could actually turn that into a full-on STEM challenge where you make a prototype. But just getting them to think as much as possible. That's really key. And then another huge one, tie in those CTE careers. Make sure you're highlighting as many different careers as possible. Don't just mention scientist and engineer, but like really dive deep, like an environmental engineer, and really what do they do? I just did one about food package design engineers. Okay, like that's nothing I really thought about, but somebody has to do it, right? And then we did another one. It was product safety and health engineers. So they just make sure we have all the safety equipment we need. Because we did life vest for action figures.
Yes.
I'm like, I've never thought about this.
They would never hear about that if we don't talk about it. And I always
say, if we don't tell them, they don't know. Right. Maybe they love safety. And then there's a career for you, you know? Like, yeah. So let's make sure that we're including as many as possible in all of the challenges. Because they need to know about these, and then give them little experiences if you can, so that they know if they like it or don't. It's really important, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah. So, again, highlighting careers. Here's a couple. There's the product health and safety engineer, hydrologist, but they also work with environmental engineers. So there's lots of engineers that work with each other on tasks. So that goes back to the collaboration and communication. There's different kinds of engineers, mathematicians, scientists, and they have to collaborate together on one big project. So that goes back to collaboration. They need to learn to work with each other. People that think differently than them, do different things, have different interests, and it's okay. You see on the top, we have animal science, wildlife biologists, and then there's the packaging engineer. There's a video there, somebody that designs the box for like Cheez-Its, and like somebody had to do it. I didn't even think about that.
Right.
So, like they would have never thought about anything like that if we don't expose it to them.
I love that.
Oh,
I'm like, okay, I might be stealing that career. Okay. Sorry, it's just what it is.
No, you're good. And then as much as possible, make sure that we are putting them into groups so they're working with each other. Not always their friend. Don't always put them with their best bud. Because it's important for them to interact with as many different people as possible. But it's also okay if they work with their friend every now and then, that's fine. But putting them in groups, because whenever they're doing design challenges, sometimes it's really hard, especially for the young ones, because they all have their own idea, but they don't understand how can we work together, put all of our ideas together and create one design together.
That's hard. Yeah.
Because they all love their idea because it's their idea. And we can't make a prototype of all four of our ideas. No, we have to take a little bit of everybody's idea and put it together into one prototype. And then making sure you're not taking over. Being like, I'm in charge of materials in building, in testing, and all of that. So it might go back into giving them job roles. So you may have somebody that's in charge of materials, somebody's in charge of sketching, somebody that's in charge of the data collection or recording, whatever their strength is. But making sure that everybody has a job role and everybody's doing their part so that they all have buy-in into it, and making sure that we make compromises. Sometimes they all come up with a similar idea, and that's fine. And that's okay.
Right.
But lots of times we have 4 different designs and we're trying to like figure out how do I get all of these together into one idea.
Lots of different ideas.
Yeah. That goes back into your debates and they have to figure out which idea they think is best.
I love it.
Oh yeah.
It provides really great interaction. I love it.
All right.
All right.
Interactive activity time.
Let's do it.
Oh yeah. So we're going to do a Scamper activity. A Scamper activity is actually something I use with my gifted and talented students. It's a creativity tool. It's not necessarily a full-on STEM challenge lesson, but it could lead to one. So what you do is you give them an everyday object. In this case, what we're going to do today is think about a backpack. And we're going to break down each of these letters And we're going to do it together in an interactive website called Mural. If we go to the next slide, we can give you a QR.
You have that already saved, or do you want me to send it? Do you have that?
You can send it either way. Yeah. Okay. So you can do, if you have your phone, or if you're able to, you can scan it and get into the QR. And then if you don't have an account with them, that's fine. You can just do a visitor account, and it gives you like a fun animal, like you're the curious, whatever, curious cat.
Oh, yes.
So
yes.
If you want to make an account, you can, or you come back and do that later. So if you get into it, you'll see a big graphic organizer. Now, the fun thing about Scamper is,
get into it.
Yes, this is interactive in digital this time, but if you click on the link, you can go.
I tried to. Okay, let me stop sharing for a second.
You're good.
And then I'll bring it back. But keep going. Sorry.
No, you're good. So this can be done as a whole group activity. This can be done individually or in a group. I think it's better as a group or whole group so that you can kind of hear each other's thinking. This can be done on chart paper. It can be like you just write backpack, cup, whatever on the board, and you just do it with Post-its or wide erase board. I mean, it's flexible. So as we're all getting in there, don't write anything yet. We'll go through it together. But you'll see that it says Scamper on the top, and we're going to scamper out our ideas for a backpack. So in the center, you'll see a backpack. And if you grab a Post-it on the left side, it says sticky note. You can get a sticky note and then drag it to the center where the backpack is and just tell me anything you know about a backpack. It could be it's used for school. It holds books. Anything you can think of. And with Scamper, there's no wrong answer. Anything. Here in a minute, we're going to come up with some wacky ideas. And the wackier, the better. So that's where the creativity comes in. And if you are able, can you zoom in a little bit for the backpack part? Okay.
Yeah, like, there we go.
So if you see on the left side, the second icon down says sticky note. So you can grab a sticky note, whatever color you prefer.
Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay.
And you see how there's a square. And then you can type into it. And then you can put whatever you want to put. So put anything about a backpack. So grab a sticky, jot down your thoughts.
Sorry.
What is a backpack? What is it used for? All that fun stuff. So I see a few of us in there.
Thank you. Oh, I'm trying to sign in so I can actually do it. Because if you're viewing, guys, it won't let you actually do it. You have to actually sign in. You can't just be a viewer.
And then you can move stuff around. This is the interactive board.
So this is called Mural. Okay.
Mural. So we got a few people in there. If you go on the left side, you can get a sticky note. You can choose a color.
You can pick whatever color you want. Oh, why won't it let me? You click that.
So move over to the left. There should be an icon that goes down. Oh, maybe yours is down.
Oh, it's zoomed out.
Or I can place some sticky notes. So there are some sticky notes on the screen.
View only, though. You have it view only.
I can change that. You're good.
I was like, wait, it's not working, guys. Is it not working for anyone else? That's why.
Let me see how I can change that. Because I have some people in there.
Yeah, we're all in there, but we're just visitors. We can't actually like do anything to it.
Dang. Okay. Hang on. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we're just chilling over here.
Again, this is a new thing I haven't used, so we're gonna use it together for the first time. I'm trying to figure out the settings. So give me a minute. I am putting sticky notes. Are you able to type in the sticky note? Or is it just
no.
Hang on.
It's all good. Anyways,
we got it.
She's got it fixed. She's fixing it.
Am I able to put it?
Let me refresh it,
If not, I'm gonna put. It says can edit, so I changed the editing settings, and I'm putting the link in the chat.
Okay, it's in the chat, guys. I'm gonna show it for a quick second. Oops, I clicked the wrong one.
Let me see if I can fix it.
There we go. And let's see if we can fix it. This is really awesome, though. I haven't used one of these before, and I love how you can.
This is a new one. I've used different ones, but not this particular one. So
we have to request edit rights. So let's hypothetically say we're doing this, but we have to request edit rights, and then you have to allow us to. But keep going with it, just showing us.
So what we can do, so I'll just show you. and then we'll go. And then what we can do is if you add your ideas in the chat, we can put some of them in the sticky notes just to get the idea. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So if you zoom into the blue, where it says substitute in the upper left corner. Yeah. All right, there we go. There we go. So we'll talk about each one, and then if you put some ideas in the chat, we can type it into the little square there just to give you a rough idea. So if you're doing this in your classroom, you could have this like on a whiteboard or chart paper, and then have the kids with sticky notes like go and put it on the board, or just have them write it on paper, whatever works best for you. So our object today is a backpack. So what we're going to do is scamper it out and give it some new ideas. So think about a backpack. We use it for lots of different things, like we use it for school, we use it to carry books, all that funness, right? So we're all familiar with a backpack. But let's substitute something on it, a part, a material, or the process of the backpack itself. So let's think of a part that we want to change or substitute. Or maybe we want to change the material. Maybe we don't want it to be made of nylon. Maybe it needs to be made of something else. So what is another material or thing that we can do? Okay, so I see magnetic snaps. That would be good. That would be helpful. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that. Any other ideas, guys? You can type
There's
in the chat.
Couple, they're going in there. Zippers instead of the zippers. So instead of the zippers, we have magnetic snaps. That might be easier for some students to use.
Yeah.
Maybe some new materials. What are some new materials that we can use? Yeah, here, I'm going to move. Yeah, you got it. You can see it there.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
Anyone have any other ideas?
They're
There's
coming
not
in.
any more in the chat. Oh, they're coming in. Okay.
Yeah, it's being slow. It is going. There's always a delay when you do stuff like this.
Yeah.
All right. So some other materials. Maybe we want it to be made out of something recyclable so that it's good for the environment.
I like that.
So instead of straps, what's something else that we can use?
Let's see. Instead of straps.
Maybe there's something else we can use.
Maybe it's like a tie around instead.
Okay.
Like tie it onto you instead of wear it.
So instead of and do that, maybe you have like almost like the drawstring backpacks, right?
Yeah.
You can do that. Maybe it's something
So
else.
basically the concept of this is to take something, an everyday thing, and then have them come up with so substitutes for things. Oh, Velcro. Someone said Velcro. I like that.
Oh yeah, I like Velcro. All right. All right, let's move down just so we can try all the letters.
Yeah. Oh.
All right, so next one is C, combine. So we're going to join elements, functions, ideas together in a new way. Find a new element to add to our backpack. So something different, things you wouldn't normally put together, but we're going to try it. In the weirder, the wackier, the better, because if we were actually turning this into a prototype, it would look really cool. So join elements, something new, something different. Or maybe the backpack functions in a different way.
Someone said rope too. Yeah.
Rope could be there or it could be down here. There's lots of
you can merge with the backpack. Oh, I love this. So they're basically like, okay, so now they're starting to like combine ideas for different functions of the backpack. This is really
join
cool.
different elements. What if the backpack didn't function as a backpack? What if it did something else?
What if it was to carry your pet?
Yes.
They kind of make those, I think.
Which they do, but hey, maybe our students don't know that.
Right.
Because somebody had to think of that at some point, right?
Right. I
Okay.
love that.
What if instead of it functioning as a backpack, it was an oven and it cooked my lunch throughout the day?
Yes.
Because why not? Right? Keep my food warm so you kind of have that type of thing. Or if it's the opposite, and I've seen some of these where it keeps me cold.
Colder. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So basically, we're coming up with a new function for it, so it's not going to do
new function, new ideas, new elements. And the longer you let the kids go, the better. So like I would set a timer for like 3 to 5 minutes and it'd be like, just write as many ideas as possible. Like don't think about this is good or not good. Just go. As many possible responses you can possibly get. The more, the better. Because after like 3 or 4, then you start really getting into the really crazy, wacky ones. And that's where the real creativity comes in.
And that's so fun. And it's allowing for creativity, but like fun outside the box thinking. So then they modify it to suit a different purpose or context. So they would make it for someone different. And
there's no pressure. You can think of something that's not actually makeable because not necessarily we're going to make all of this. So just the more crazy out there you could, maybe it's a rocket backpack. Are we actually going to make a rocket backpack? Maybe not. But I want you to write down every idea you can possibly think of, even if it's something not doable. That's fine. I don't want you to be limited on what materials you think that we have in the classroom. All right. So let's look at A just for a second. So that's adapt. So that's modify something on it to make it better for somebody else or yourself. So maybe you need a drink holder, but like the one that has the handle for your Stanley cup, not the other like water bottle style. So you need So you need a like cup holder that has the handle part there so that you can hold that. New purpose, again, going back to, it could be an oven, it could be a fridge, it could be something else entirely. Maybe it's designed for somebody specific. Sometimes hikers have those backpacks that carry water instead of stuff.
Yes, that's right.
So those type of ideas. So thinking of something new and different. Now with a student, they're not going to know all of this. We know like, oh, we've seen backpacks in lots of different forms or fashions.
We know that.
They may not know that.
Yeah, right.
But again, if you set a timer, let them go. Like the first couple ones are functional. They're nice little ideas. But then it gets a little wild and crazy the more you let them go. And that's the fun part. All right, if you go back over to the yellow, this is the M. Yeah.
Got it.
So again, modifying something. This is making it bigger or smaller, changing the shapes or something else. Now with backpacks, there's lots of iterations of backpacks out there because they've been around for a while, right?
Right.
But if you gave them a object or item that's kind of new or different, there hasn't been around that long, you're going to get a lot more iterations that aren't there. Another good thing to do with this is give them a food product, like an Oreo.
Yes. Oh
so say you had an Oreo. Well, what if we had jumbo Oreos? Now they're huge. Or what if we had the little mini chip size Oreos?
Teeny tiny ones.
Yeah. So things like that. So you can make your backpack huge. It could be suitcase styles because some suitcase has the little straps. So is it a backpack or is it a suitcase? You know, that type of thing. Changing the shape of it. Maybe people find it uncomfortable the way it is. Is there a better shape or design to make it better for somebody? Possibly. Or what if like we designed it to be worn in the front instead of the back?
Instead of the back.
Would that change the design of it? Possibly.
She said, Melanie said baby bag.
Yes. A lot of our kids probably think of that. But yeah, you have the baby carriers and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, perfect. All right. The P is to put it to another use. So rather it be in a backpack, it's something else. It's not a backpack anymore. That we know.
Yeah.
Traditional backpack has your school bags in it, right? But maybe it's something else. Maybe it's a portable aquarium for whatever reason. Why not? Put fish in there. Okay, so so why would I want to carry an aquarium on my back? Maybe I like fish. But also have the kids think about all the things that would have to go into that. Okay, well, the water's sloshing. Do I get air in there? Are the fish okay? You know, all the environmental things that would go into that. So like I said, the deeper you get into it, the more wild and crazy it gets. And your kids will just run off.
They'll get excited about it. I love it so much.
Especially if you have GT kids, because they're out of the box thinkers anyway. They're going to come up with some wild and crazy stuff.
Yep.
All right. Your red, your E is eliminate. Take something off of it. Maybe it doesn't have straps anymore. Just why not? You just hold it. Maybe there's something else you do with it. Maybe it's something that you take away, so you make it as minimal as possible so it's less heavy. Maybe it has one pocket, one just giant pocket, almost like a tote bag instead of the multiple pockets that we're used to, right? Because there's going to be a market out there for anybody. And somebody's going to want that no matter what, right? And then your last one is the R, the reverse. So flip something. Maybe it's used differently. It's upside down. It's inside out. What would be the purpose? Why would we want that? There's lots of possible reasons. That goes back to maybe I wear it in the front instead of the back. Maybe somehow I attach it so that like it's on like my leg and it follows me somehow. Because I don't know.
On wheels. They're already there. Yeah.
Right.
Like
right. To the wheels. So, and the cool thing is, maybe I wouldn't go through all of these letters in one day. I might be like, okay, this week's activity is backpack. Well, on Monday, we're going to do the S, and we're going to do the C, and then Tuesday we do the next letter, and then by Friday, if we have enough time, I'll let you try out and make one of your ideas that you came up with.
I love that.
If it's something that's feasible. And I don't want them to feel the pressure of like, oh, I have to turn all of these wild, crazy ideas into something. The whole point is them to just think, be creative, do as many weird, wacky things as possible just to get the ideas out there and your brain flowing. That's the whole point behind this. Maybe it's something, maybe we can actually make the physical prototype, but maybe you can draw a picture of it or design it digitally. Like if you're able to get to Tinkercad, maybe they can make it in Tinkercad and make a 3D version.
There you go. They can print it afterwards. I love this so much.
And then eventually you could like have them do a sales pitch, maybe on Friday, like market and see who has the best idea.
Play Shark
Tank. Sales pitch. Yep, Shark Tank. That'd be a perfect activity. So it could lead to a STEM challenge. It doesn't have to. It's just a creativity tool to get them thinking outside of the box and thinking about new things. Now, a backpack is one item. I've seen it done with food items like the Oreos, but just choose an everyday item. Could be as simple as a pencil, you know, and just make it as easy as possible. Maybe a pencil is not a pencil, it's something else. Just getting them to think about the items in the world and how it could be different. And that goes back to the brainstorming, the creativity, just getting them excited. Plus, this, how cool of a bell ringer would this be? Every day I get to just think of wild and crazy ideas about stuff.
And it maybe is a very easy bell ringer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, allows for really cool creativity.
And it could be at the end of the day, too. Like, hey, tomorrow, give me like 3 ideas. 3 ideas. And then when you come back the next morning, I want to see what your 3 ideas are or whatever. So it could go the other direction depending on what you do.
It's true. I love this. I love this so much, Lauren. That was so cool. I don't know why I haven't done that before. That was so fun.
Super fun. And it's good for any grade level. Like, obviously, your lower ones, you might need to scaffold it a little bit and help them a little bit, but that's okay.
Right. But still, it allows for, a lot of
creativity. Oh, yeah. Those young minds have a lot of creativity, and it's important for them to get to explore that before they get to the older ones, because it seems like the older they get, the less they want to explore, which is unfortunate.
Exactly. Exactly. Yay. That was so fun.
Yes.
I'm going to stop sharing the slides if that's okay. Cool.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And then
allow for questions. Yeah.
Allow for
questions. So
absolutely.
If there's any questions that you have, comments, anything, come at us.
Yes. We can send out the link to that. I'm sorry it didn't work. We'll work on that.
No, it's amazing. No, it was perfect.
That's tech for you, right?
That's right.
You got to change it on the fly as we go.
It's just a prime
being a
example of what it's like to teach. Yeah.
Yeah, tech never works, especially when you have a walkthrough and admin walks in. That's when tech doesn't work.
Yep, it's always. That's
every single time. Yeah, you're like, oh man.
Time to be observed, or you have to present in front of a bunch of people.
Oh yeah, just the way it is. Perfect.
Yes. Where he put the link in there if you want to get on stage, but you can also ask in the chat if you'd rather do that. If you have questions,
whatever you're comfortable with.
Lauren, if you want to share in the chat or whatever, any way they can reach out to you of any sort. If you want to do that, you can. But if you don't, that's okay too.
Sure.
If people want to personally talk to you or ask you anything or get advice, she's really good at giving advice.
Yeah, my goal is always to help as many teachers as possible. I want you guys to be successful when it comes to STEM, because I know it can be a little overwhelming or confusing. Yeah. But I see the benefits of it, so I want you guys to be comfortable in it and do it as much as you can. I'm putting in my Instagram handle. It's Kelly's STEM Kids. And then I'll put my email here in the next one. And you can reach out to me there. I used to be on Twitter X, but I don't really get on there as much as I used to. But I've been a lot more active on the other one. I tried to post a video or a picture once a week of kind of like what's going on in my classroom, just to everyone to see. And then I'm going to put in an email in case you want to email me. And if you had any questions or comments, you can send it to me.
She's created a lot of amazing curriculum out there that you can use too, and she probably has. I know she has a teacher pay teacher. If you want to dig into her stuff,
oh yeah,
do it.
It's the same handle.
Very creative. Yeah, everything's always the same handle with that. I believe.
Well, it makes it easy. Otherwise, you're like, well, I'm not trying to search in 4 or 5 different spots. Like that's too much.
No, it makes life a lot easier for all of us.
Oh yeah.
I'm not seeing questions come in.
Okay. So we answered them all.
Questions, comments. Yeah. No questions either really good or really bad. That's how I view it anyway.
Right.
This is really fun for me because I hadn't done Scamper before and I'm now obsessed with it. So I can't wait to try out something.
Yeah, I like doing it on chart paper, and then they come up there with their Post-its and put it up there. So you could have like a picture of the item in the middle of the anchor chart, or you can have a piece of paper and have them literally write Scamper down the side. And then in a group, they can come up with ideas. It can be individual too, but it's fun to kind of get feed off of each other and kind of what they're coming up with. Super fun. You can see what
give
others
them
are
a certain
thinking.
amount of sticky notes where it's like you can only use this many. So as a group, y'all got to decide which ideas you want.
Not really, because then you're limiting creativity.
I know, but I'm saying
So I'm
as
like,
a
no.
team, they shuffle through stuff and then decide as a team.
Oh,
Like
you
this is the
can.
one we want to
Yeah,
put.
if you put as many as possible down and be okay, this team put up your 2 best ideas.
Yeah,
You
that's
can
what I
do
mean by
that.
that. Sorry, not only this many
Don't limit
total amount.
creativity.
Yeah. I don't want to. That's
Yeah.
so yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
great.
Hmm?
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't see any comments. If there's nothing, you guys, thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
You know that this is the beginning of once a month. We're going to start doing this again. So prepare yourself. Next month, we are doing Kai's education. So if you have a Kai bot or Kai's clan, they are coming on to show some really cool stuff that you can do with their product. So if you are interested in VR, AR, AI, IoT, I'm going to go through all of it. They have it all on their stuff. So yeah, that's next month. We're going to dive into some of that, which will be a lot of fun because they're a lot of fun. They're from New Zealand, and they bring the energy every time. So it's great. But if there's no other comments, nothing, questions, concerns. Oh, Medina is saying thank you.
Thank you.
She loved the Scamper. She's also a previous teacher, so it's always fun to see that kind of stuff come through.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, great. Well, thank you, everyone. We really appreciate you being here, and we hope that you're going to join us again. Anything for me, if you have questions or comments or anything that you need, I'm going to put my email in the chat. Please reach out to me as well. And also, if you do use, I'm going to throw this out there, but if you do use our podcast and you try it in the classroom, email me because I would love to like feature you on our social media or whomever. Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Email me if you have anything, or if you have questions, or if you want to know more about the activity cards, I can send you a sample because I have them all put together. Or if you can't get a hold of Lauren and you are still trying to get her, I'll give you her cell phone number.
Oh no.
I'm just kidding.
Block.
I'm kidding.
It's all good.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, I'm joking. But yeah, thank you guys. We really appreciate it. Happy start of the year. I know it's kind of been in there. So
yeah.
Yeah. And we're glad that you all came, and we hope to see you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.